Good evening, guys. Good evening. We are now live. So I have my esteemed colleague and countryman, Mr. McCaffrey.
Good evening.
How is everyone? How is Q4 going? If anyone can, or whoever can see the live, if you could drop us a comment where you're watching from, where you're based, where you're seeing this in the world, that would be great. And if you can drop a like, drop a smiley face, or whatever suits to let us know you're watching, that would be awesome. So we have 6 people. So yeah, if you could let us know where you're watching from, it'd be great. Mr. McCaffrey.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well. Apologies for not looking at the camera, but I'm currently looking at my 50-inch new monitor behind me. I say new monitor. I swiped the TV out of the sitting room because I needed it for work more than watching Netflix. I'm not seeing us live here on Facebook, sir.
I think we are.
Got it. 6 people watching. Cool.
We've got a how do from Blackpool. How do from Blackpool. So thank you, Blackpool. We are live, Blackpool. Yes. So yeah, it's.
Can I interrupt you? Can I get some acknowledgement for the picture quality on my end this evening? Because I invested in a lovely new 4K webcam today, and I think I look shit hot. I always did think that, but
In fairness, you
now
need
I've
it.
just got.
You need it. I don't.
No. I've still got all my lovely pastel colours.
That's right, because you got a shipment of Just for Men in, didn't you? Wholesale.
Give me a minute. I've just.
There's Eamon talking about his technology, and he's just been cast astray. So basically tonight we are going to talk a little bit about Q4, talk about how we're getting on. Eamon's going to talk a little bit about his wholesale business. We've a few wins at the moment in our respective businesses, which has been great. And Eamon's been working very hard on the Amazon wholesale blueprint that we're putting together. So talk a little bit about that, and we'll open it up for calls if you want to get involved in that, and kind of a preemptive strike on that. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So hi all. Yes, thank you. So 12 people on. Thank you for joining us. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for tuning in. So 24th, it's crazy. It's 24th November. Obviously, Black Friday coming up, Cyber Monday. How's things in your world, Mr. McCaffrey? How are you getting on?
I am the proverbial swan. I'm smooth, lovely, calm on the surface, and on the bottom, I am scrambling and kicking for all I'm worth. Ton of stuff in the warehouse. I still want to get out the door, and I'm sitting looking at pallets of stuff that's really easy to prep that I want to ship, but I'm going, I can send that in 2 weeks' time, but I've other sort of more time critical stuff that I want out this week. When my lives are finished tonight, I would say I will be doing a couple of late night hours this evening again. But I said on a call yesterday morning, as much as this is stressful, it's like a drug to me. It is so exhilarating. I love watching the stock leave. I love the challenge and the pressure of it. I've staff in the shed, and one of them works another job as well, and I've offered him full-time hours, and he's like, no, I get fulfillment from that other job. It's in the current sector, and he loves that. And he's like, but I tell you what I'll do, when I knock off there on Friday evening, I'll come back over here and we'll just keep going till we decide to stop. So my Friday night this week will be a case of beer, a couple of pizzas, and me and a couple of others just banging out orders in the shed, trying to get it done. I have held back a story that I haven't even told you, because I barely got speaking to you. But wait till you hear this for a good crack with wholesale. So I had a supplier who was local that was bringing in stock from me out of England, and much bigger purchasing power, had it all agreed, great. And I was down collecting stock from them on Friday evening, left at 2 pallets. And I was like, what about the other stuff? And they're like, yeah, that really should have been in. Let us chase that up and we will give you a shout back. And the next morning, I was down poaching all your good leads out of Smiths in the Boucher Road. Aisling had to go to Dunelm. And the phone rang, and it was the supplier going, yeah, so those items, we can't get you them. We were able to give you a full refund or if you want anything else, but yeah, we can't get the stock.
Right.
I'm like, okay, right. You said it was in your warehouse and it wasn't going to be an issue. You know, what happened? Yeah, we've been debating whether or not to tell you the truth, but we've decided we're just going to tell you the truth. Your stock was stopped at the port and impounded, and then they destroyed the entire contents. I'm like, so customs decided to destroy my entire stock at the port? Yeah. And I'm like, can you tell why my stock chose to be destroyed? Apparently, within the container, a couple of illegal immigrants had decided that was their ferry port from England to Northern Ireland, and because there was illegal immigrants in the container, they destroyed all the stock. So I lost a good whack of Q4 time critical seasonal stock for that reason. And I was thinking about it afterwards, and my dad was like, and what will happen to that stock? You know, surely it'll be physically fine. And like, that'll go to some liquidation company. And they're like, yeah, well, what you want to do there is find out which liquidation company's doing that and start putting migrant workers into the back of all your shipments. And I was like, you can't really be doing that one, but good shout, Dad, thanks. But I was just sitting on the phone in the car park going, so somebody broke into the container to use it as a means of transport, and because of that, I've lost a good proportion of my Q4 stock. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's so crazy. It has to be true. Enjoy your Saturday morning. Best of luck. Like, I have not heard that. Like, you hear a lot of stuff in Facebook groups and stuff, but that's a new one on me.
And they got.
What do you say to that? Like,
well, where do you start? Where do you start with that?
I can then go again. Similar items, another supplier, and again, I'm going to blame Brexit in this one. Literally ordered the stock 20th of September, and last Thursday I got a refund simply because the haulage company was trailing their feet on the paperwork trying to ship it into Northern Ireland. So when I see people in Facebook groups who are in the home counties complaining about how hard it is to get stock, I think you don't have to try and bring it through what is now a very technically difficult port of Belfast to try and get your product. And I know somebody along here is going to say send it to a prep centre, but I've spent the best part of 2 years setting up my own warehouse, so it doesn't make sense for me to send wholesale stock to a prep centre that I can prep myself at a much cheaper cost. But then you're up against scenarios like that. So it's all fun and games.
That's crazy. Fun and games.
All fun and games.
Well, it's a lot to be said. Where were they from? Did the migrants deal with? You know,
I have no idea about the details out there. And like I said, container, but it quite well have been a curtain side of lorry or something. I don't know the actual vehicle, but yeah, that was the scenario.
Just goes to show God's own country. Got as far as England and thought
desirable.
Desirable. Well, I thought we'll get across to Ireland. It's even better over there.
It is.
That's crazy,
isn't it?
Yeah. You need to get in touch with some liquidators. I'm sure you already have.
On the topic of that, you were meant to send me information. London or Liverpool. It would have been around this time. It could even be this week.
I chased that up, and
Uh-huh.
it's not happening. It's
Either
not
that or you
happening.
just don't want to cut me into the loop.
Well, if it was this weekend, or I can verify my whereabouts the whole of this month. I haven't been across to Liverpool to the secret liquidator meetup that I was
Yeah.
invited to. Yeah, so it's not happening.
So to clarify, they invited you to an event that was planned and organised, and then suddenly it wasn't happening.
Wasn't
I even
happening.
thought better of it and just didn't want you to come.
Either or.
But yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I know people think about liquidation and sort of wonder what it's got to do with wholesale, but some of my best suppliers are liquidators. And yeah, like I have been offered some crazy stuff. Like I was offered 1.4 million paper drinking straws a couple of weeks back.
Right.
Like, no, don't really have a market for those. Secondhand tills, used crutches and stuff like that. But one of my best selling items, I bought a pallet of, got it, great, sold well. Was offered another pallet. Was offered 10 of them, and was like, can't go that deep. Ordered another one, take it over. And supplier came back to me there 2 weeks ago and was like, I've still 4 left. I'll sell them to you at my break even. So what I was paying a pound unit for, I'm now paying 60p a unit for. And I have 4 pallets of them coming, which is 4,800 units, which is nice. Don't know where I'm putting them, but
Just going to send this link out for a few people that were wanting to join us. So yeah, I mean that's the sort of. I mean, in terms of the benefits of wholesale against everything else, I would do a little bit of wholesale. Nothing in terms of payments numbers, but yeah, I mean, it's great to be able to kind of rely on the supply and to be able to order 300, 400, 4,000 of an item and be able to rely on that. It's
you know what? That is nice, but that's not even that wasn't my driving force of getting into wholesale. Yeah, it's great when you find the winning item when you can order 2 or 3 pallets of it and sell it well. But you've also got the squeeze point that is. I was offered 6 lorry loads of beer today. I don't have the licensing for that. I don't have the space for that, and I sure don't have the capital for that either. But I had items delivered on Monday morning, 3 pallets of an item delivered. Prepping it yesterday. Bottom of one of the pallets, obviously, when it's been loaded onto the lorry or something just took the whole corner out of one of the pallets, and there was 2 dozen units that were pretty beat up. I took 2 photographs, pinged them to my sales rep on WhatsApp, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, but that lad will get you a credit note issued now." And I'm like, "Sure, it happens." By the time I was stopping for lunch, I had a credit note for the full cost price of those items, and you're like, "You can do what you want with them, keep them, sell them, send it back to us if you want rid of them." And that's just so easy. And I have a boots return sitting in the corner that I literally just haven't got around to bring to the post office. And you have to email them, cry about it, send photos, and you have to raise a ticket, wait 10 days. Wholesale is so much easier. Plus, if I sell one of those items and the customer claims it was counterfeit or Amazon asks for declaration of conformity or safety data sheet, one message to the sales rep and they're like, yeah, here's that paperwork. Hope you're well.
yeah, it's. I mean, online arbitrage, retail make a lot of money. Definitely, it's a hustle rather than proper business. When you're dealing with wholesalers, suppliers, liquidators, you're dealing with business to business. So yeah, you can get credit notes, credit accounts, and yeah, like the best month I've had so far this year was during the summer. It's a supplier in Northern Ireland that keeps me in mind for things, and they, what was it? Yeah, it was Harvey Norman had let them down. They'd ordered, I think, 3 or 4 pallets worth of desk fans. So phone call, 3 o'clock one afternoon. Lloyd, we've got 4 pallets of these desk fans that you've bought a couple of hundred of. Do you want them? So got them delivered that afternoon. and prepped and out the door by the next day. And they sold during that really, really warm weekend, just all sold out, just like that, 3 pallets worth. So yeah, you don't really get that with online arbitrage or certainly retail anyway. So, and yeah, it's just that relationship that you need to build and maintain.
It really is. And I have one supplier within the cosmetics sector, and well, a couple, but there's one in particular, quite large minimum orders, and their brokers, they literally drop ship because when you order something from them, they'll be like, yeah, we'll let you know when I have it. And that's why minimum order might be a pallet, because they're not buying in single cases. But because they're a brokers, I will simply go, hey, I'm buying this item out of Superdrug and it's going really well. Can you get me it? And they don't always be able to beat the price. Most times they can match it or whatever, but they will go and find it. So there was one supplier was getting me an item and they came back to me in July and said, yeah, we can get you the quantity you want, but it'll be November. And I was like, that just doesn't quite do. Phoned the other supplier up, spoke to the guy, and was like, can you get this? And he's like, I don't know. An hour later, many of them they want, and I can beat their price. I'm like, super. And it's that relationship. Like, it's one thing I've had to try and teach my VAs. They're like, oh, it's not on their website. And I'm like, it's not, because they only got that stock in this morning, or else they're not getting it in for a month. But an email they sent around yesterday, the stock's coming. And if they're now starting to stock, I know, Rimmel, if they've got this color, chances are they can get you the different ranges. So if you know the stock, that brand, they've got an account with the manufacturer, they can get you this stuff. So it's a wee bit sort of different when you come to the sourcing. You're not going on to Boots and seeing what's in the clearance section. You're going, there's a fast selling item. There's an item that in other retail places, there's somewhat of a margin on. Let's see, can I get that direct from as near direct to source as you can without going to the manufacturer and ordering it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's great. I've noticed Stephen has put up a question. If you buy a branded item from a wholesaler, do you need their permission to sell their item on Amazon? Do you create a listing or jump on existing listings? So that's a tough one. I have had this issue from a couple of different angles. So recently I was selling a biscuit item, though it was a niche item. Selling it from wholesaler, no issue. Phoned them up, got spoken to one of their directors and says, listen, I've realized you've started selling these on Amazon. I've also been selling them on Amazon. You can check out my sales performance on Keepa. I don't drop the price. Are you okay with me still selling this, or would you like me to remove myself from the listing? I'm about to replace another order here and I don't want to buy stock I'm going to get stuck with. And they're like, yeah, we're actually going to be allowing that to happen. There's a partner website where you can apply to do that. Go on there and have a look. Filled out all that. Did fine. Great. Happy days. Placed my wholesale order. Prepped the stock. Sent it in. A week later, IP claim on my stock pulled out of Amazon. I was like, what? Why would you do that? Why not just say on the phone, no, please remove yourself from our listing? So, but for the most times, no, I don't ask permission. Like if I'm selling Rimmel makeup, I'm not trying to find the headquarters of Rimmel and ask their permission to sell it on Amazon. Most times I'm selling it on shared listings. So I have no unique sell point. I'm not creating bundles or adding in one simple tiny chocolate saying high collections on the side of it and ripping off other listings. I do have some of my own listings and they were more created out of necessity rather than planning. But it is something I'm planning to do more actively next year in Q1 and 2 in a bit of time. I'm going to take some of my best-selling items, bundle them a little bit, and create my own listings for them. Some of them I will be doing under brand. Most of them I'll probably just do generic for other people to jump onto.
Cool. Yeah, great question. So hopefully that answers it. Anyone else, if you've got questions or any thoughts or any stories with people hidden in the back of lorries or containers, then yeah, feel free to share. We'll talk a little bit about the blueprint program we're putting together. It's officially launching when, Eamon?
A wonderful question of which I should have an answer to.
Oh dear.
You know what? We've already got beta testers that have access to some of the content and support within it. And it all depends on the client at this stage. And I'm sort of deliberately deflecting the question. The first 4 modules are recorded, and support materials for those are all there. And they're currently with our graphics team member who is editing them and making me look even better looking. But realistically, the clients that have already engaged in it, they've got the supporting content, and I'm already helping them with their wholesale endeavors. So if somebody was to say, hey, listen, I'm a Q4 done and dusted, my stock sent in, and I'm already focused on the next year, I've got a bit of time off work now, we really want to start things going. If they want to jump on a call with Liam in the morning and get signed up, excellent. If you want to wait for, I would imagine it's going to be second week of December for an official launch. Well, then that's perfectly fine as well. I am very conscious of the fact that if you're going to be saying about launching this sort of training in the mouth of Christmas, people are going to be like, I'm spent out, I'll check it again in January. But it's wholesale. It never really stops.
No.
There's no point. Oh, it's new year, new me, new nonsense. I had an order sent over today. Supplier phoned me. Hey, my Delta has let us down. We can't get that stock. You've half a pallet. Do you want to try and add a couple of things on? And pinged it back over to my wholesale VA and add a few more things on. Emailed it back. Phoned the rep. And was like, there's the stuff. And he went, okay, what's new on that list? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't place the order. I'm only phoning you to tell you to ship it. So it's fun from that point. Can I share photos on here? Probably can't. I'll put it into the group after the call, but my VA, my wholesale VA put up a post on Facebook yesterday, and I was sitting looking at his photograph and I was jealous. I could see he had Slack open and he was chatting to me. I could see that he had Google Sheets open building out the order. And he was sitting beside a beach with a set of burgers that looked phenomenal and music playing. I'm actually quite jealous of his lifestyle right now.
But you should be able to share screen. So, right, left hand side of your screen. But
I have so many screens opened. I'll maybe just leave that one.
Well, we'll leave that one for the time being. But if you're struggling with finding things for away, even at the moment, then wholesale is just, kind of mind blowing, just in terms of where you can go with it. There's no real limit to where you can go with it.
Yeah, I see there, Steve asks a follow-up question. If you're buying pallet loads, do you always see the demand for every pallet you buy, or do you drip feed on different platforms or store in your warehouse for a later date? I could spend the next 3 hours answering that question, and I have tried it from so many different aspects. When I first started, I was buying maybe a couple of cases in a pallet layer, and then I was negotiating better rates by ordering full pallets of certain items. I don't order everything by a minimum of a pallet quantity because that's crazy. You might be buying something that's selling 2 cases a month, and a pallet would take you multiple years to sell through. What I was doing was buying in bulk, shipping it all into Amazon, doing a couple of really big orders, and then not having much stock sitting local. That backfired, especially what I was doing. I was buying 3 months supply of stock, or what I estimated was 3 months supply, and shipping it in. Amazon went, Eamon, that's a really great idea, but could we tweak that 3 month supply to a 3 week supply? And can you have that done by next Monday, or we're dropping your API score again? And it crippled me June, July. So I've now completely scaled that. What I do, if I can get it at a good price, if it's a take-all price, or I know it's on a special promotion, or even if it's a fast seller, but I don't want to put in such a high amount, I will store it locally. So I know for a fact at the minute I have a couple of pallets of tins of a certain Cadbury item, and I'm just feeding in 50 or 60 every week. That's what's selling, and I've a couple of hundred sitting in the shed, and just every week I just peel a layer off, box them up, ship them in, which means I can respond to the demands on Amazon. If they start selling really quickly, I can send more in. If somebody price tanks, I'm not paying loads in storage fees. So yeah, it does give you that flexibility. Some of them I do sell on eBay. I think my highest 90-day turnover is my current 90-day turnover, which is about £800, which I think gives you some level of the turnover I do on eBay. It's usually just for clearing old stock or returns.
Cool. Another kind of question. So, yeah, guys, if any questions, any thoughts or anything, we'll be here for maybe another 20, 25 minutes. So we'll be here till about 4 to 8. So in terms of questions, if we get a few dropped, we'll answer them kind of after talking about the wholesale blueprint. So if you were reaching out to people, or if you were kind of painting or explaining a perfect client for a wholesale blueprint, what would that person look like? What sort of stage would they be at their business, or what would their ambitions be, or how would they be set up? What would be a good fit for the program?
They're somebody that's taken Amazon seriously, and by that I mean they don't have to be a full-time seller. I wasn't when I started, but it's a little bit more than a side hustle to them. They've got a vision of actually building out a business rather than just a passive income stream. They actually want to be selling it. They are somebody who has they are someone who has a bit of cop on when it comes to Amazon, so they're not going to be asking questions like, what is a buy box? Within the wholesale course, there's an assumed level of understanding within Amazon. So it doesn't really cover how to create a list, how to sort of add items to inventory. That sort of level of knowledge is assumed. They are someone who has a bit of money to spend. Now, I know wholesalers at minimum orders £200. I know other ones where it's 10,000. Yes. So people have this misconception that you need tens of thousands to start wholesale. I wish I had tens of thousands when I started wholesale. I definitely didn't. There's someone who is tenacious. They are creative in their approach to things. Like the last account that I opened was with a supplier who sells the Smiths. And it was great that I got that account because, well, you and I both know how charming and warm the welcome is you get from the manager in Smith's Newry. So the fact that I could walk in there the other day and walk around and just smile at him going, I'm now buying from your suppliers. I could have been giving you a cash bribe to let me clean out your stock, but instead, thank you for making that challenging. And I got creative, and rather than trying to buy 10 items out of Smith's, I will just now buy pallet loads from your supplier. Thank you. So they're someone that is able to be creative when it comes to problem solving.
Yeah, that's a very kind of stoical. Yeah. I'm a bit of a stoical, and I'll butcher this phrase, but there's a lot talked about the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way must become the way. So the fact that we've both had that run in with Smiths, and now you've cut up. You took action. Well, I don't know what Smiths is like anymore. My the guy I've got helping me has experienced that firsthand, and yeah, it's quite interesting.
Smiths. Like I was in Smiths on Saturday in Belfast. I went and I bought 2 items, and I bought those 2 items because my wife was next door buying stuff out of Dunelm, and I was like, I know there's 2 good margined RA items in there, and I can grab them, and they were small. But I was walking around the shop going, if I was doing RA right now, I'd be panicking because there's just not the volume or the margins there. And I started wholesale for one reason and one reason only. I was a bit of a Dell boy. I know this is shocking information, Lloyd. And I bought a job lot of cosmetics off Gumtree. And now, while the items were genuine, the guy that sold them, his wife had been selling them on the quiet while obtaining benefits. And when they stopped selling them, they decided that it was probably best to burn all evidence of their fraud. So I bought this item, job lot.
In Steps McCaffrey.
They were selling on Amazon for 15 quid a piece, and I was buying them for about £1 a unit. And they were ranked within 1,000 within the cosmetics category. They flew out the door. And because the other competitors obviously were buying them at £9 cost price wholesale, I could match any price they crashed the price to. So they reported me for them being inauthentic. Amazon goes, hey, Eamon, pop us over we invoice here and she'll say no more about it. And I couldn't even provide an eBay receipt. And I didn't have leg to stand on. It cost me an entire Q4 and it cost me 3 months of trading and £500 to get it sorted. And after that, I thought, I want legitimacy.
The 3 months that you missed as well, do you want to talk about that?
What, the fact that they were September, October, November? I got suspended on the 9th of September and I got reinstated on the 23rd of December. I missed the entire Q4. Yeah. It was devastating. But it was the best thing that could happen to me because I stopped thinking small fry. I stopped trying to do as much RA. I still do RA. Yeah. And now I was just like, right, if I'm buying that direct from a wholesaler and they say it's inauthentic, I can just provide an invoice. The irony of it was that I went straight to the manufacturer who were in the Czech Republic and they were like, hey, we don't actually have a rep in Ireland. Would you like to become a rep for us? I'm like, yeah, sure. Can you get me an invoice for this stuff? And they're like, well, we didn't tell you that, so no, but would you like to buy a minimum $5,000 order of this stuff? So met a wee bit of an impasse there and I didn't actually buy it, but I always wonder, should I have?
Well, you can go back now, can't you? I'm sure they're still...
But they were more looking me for a rep to actually go around pharmacies and stock on shelves, which I do know another couple of local Amazon sellers do, but I wasn't set up for that. So
cool.
Maybe something your driver wants to do.
He would. Well, he's pretty busy at the moment. Yeah. So yeah, just kind of for me, kind of a quick win that I mentioned at the start. I have someone 3 days a week, 4 days a week driving for me and doing prep. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like next year. It might look like a warehouse being built out a little bit more next year. Basically, I've got a guy doing retail arbitrage for me and then prepping those units when he brings them back to warehouse. Wholesale order landing Monday, Tuesday next week that he'll prep, and yeah, it's very useful to have someone on the ground, as they say. So we'll get back to go on then.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know it's not specifically related to wholesale, but like I went away on honeymoon. I pretty much took 3 weeks off where I wasn't doing any sort of prep at all. And to have prep still coming in and going out that you're still in control of. I know the alternative is a prep center, but the fact that I was able to have stock, receive, prep, and ship from my premises that I can control it's brilliant and it's really exhilarating. I see Roisin there asked about, is it easier to source wholesale than arbitrage? And that's a really challenging question to try and answer.
Yeah.
I would honestly argue no. And the reason why I would say no is because when you get an arbitrage item, if it's on a Tesco Club Card deal, somebody lets it slip in a Facebook group somewhere and the next thing you have 30 sellers on it. So to find good deals on wholesale, sometimes you have to put in a wee bit more legwork. Sometimes you actually have to try and make it a good deal. But once you get it, it's replenishable and it's golden for years.
I would say that everything with wholesale that I found takes longer. Everything takes longer, whether it's finding a good source, finding a good deal, and actually even just placing an order. everything
Yeah.
does take longer. So even like there's a couple of times I've placed orders with wholesalers and it's taken 2 or 3 days just to get pro forma over, blah blah blah, and then kind of send money
That's
across.
quite quick.
So, but that's the difference. If you buy something in Argos, you can have it delivered in 2 or 3 days. So, that I would say that like the way my business is run at the moment, I'm very happy with it. It's hybrid business, OA, very tiny bit of RA, and wholesale. I'd say it's 2/3 OA, third wholesale. That's kind of the split at the moment. I'm happy
Yeah.
with it. I want to group both out next year. Haven't sat down and what kind of crystallize that, what that looks like, but happy with the way it's going. I would say, to answer that question, everything does take longer, even just finding a decent wholesaler. Just, sometimes going across to Birmingham or getting a list or Google, it does take longer. But because that barrier of entry is a lot higher, yeah, you're cutting out a decent amount of competition. But you do have
Well,
competition
I
from
wanted
other
to
places. Go on then.
I wanted to interject with you there. The competition in wholesale is different. It's not that you don't have as much; you have different competition. And what I've noticed is within wholesale, you have two types of wholesale competitors. You have the one who's like, right, we're all in this to make money. We'll maintain the cost price or the sell price. We'll rotate the buy box. Everybody nodding the wink and everybody makes money. Lovely. You've then the other one that's like, we've just bought 10 pallets of this. We're happy to make 2p profit in this item. We have 30 million or 100 million purchasing power, and we will destroy you at all costs. We will sell this at a loss for 3 months to get you off the listing, and this will just be ours. We're not going to brand it ourselves because we don't have the inkling to do that, but we will destroy you on price just so that we have the sale of this. And there's no rhyme or reason as to who they are. I've been up against sellers with 70,000 reviews that will share the buy box all week long. And I've been up against wholesalers with maybe a couple of hundred or 1,000 reviews, and they will just be black hat tactics to get rid of you. So there really is no rhyme or reason. I have been guilty of both acts of behavior in the past myself for different reasons.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you've got a couple of thousand units tied up somewhere and you need the space, you need the restock limit, it's a different game. So yeah.
I actually did it this week to get somebody's attention. Competitor was selling an item at £3.50 and my VA moved the price point, and then after that I just couldn't get the buy box no matter what I'd done. So I crashed the price to £2.50, sold about 50 units at a loss, and then put my price way up again. And when they readjusted their price, they put their price at £3.99, and I was like, that'll do. So it worked. Cost me £100, but it worked.
Cool. So question here. I'm not sure it's for all. I'll check at the moment. Does
Z.
iGen have Z? Does iGen have wholesale blueprint as well, or just OA?
Excellent question.
Excellent question.
At the moment, we currently have an Amazon wholesale blueprint in development, which will be launching the second week of December. We currently have 5 wholesale blueprint beta testers. The next 20 people that will be coming on will be getting it at a discounted price. And then after those 20 sales have been made, it's not a date, it's first 20 people after the 5 beta testers get it at a discounted price. And when the first 25 spaces are gone, then it goes up to full price. So not using that as a sales tactic, as Lucas said on a couple of lives before, I'm not that great at sales. I'll just help people, which is why I do the training, because I love it. But if you are really giving this serious consideration and you're like, I'll maybe leave it a while, maybe not. Once those first 20 spaces are gone, they're gone. If it's all but I promised you, and then if somebody else pays the money up first 20 spaces, then the price goes up. So it's not a specific date. If 20 people sign up tonight, it goes up to full price tomorrow morning. Will 20 people sell up tonight? I'd be very surprised if they did, but I'm not saying all 20 spaces won't be gone by the launch in mid-December.
Cool. I think that's fair
It's
enough.
as much as I can say about that.
Cool. So if you are on the fence, getting splinters, get yourself booked onto a call and find out what it's about. Another question from, let's look this up. Are you considering opening a USA account for wholesale? Actually opening one at all, online arbitrage or wholesale. So that's in regards to America. That's from Adrian. So myself personally, Adrian, I have a pretty specific goal for this year that we're on flow to do again. I'm setting goals next year for the UK. I'm leaning towards starting in Germany or starting in Europe before the States. I've kind of, yeah.
Change your tune a bit from last January?
Yeah.
Why?
Reason being, to be honest, seeing and firsthand Sebastian's success and being able to do things like set up a company in Europe, transfer things between two companies is interesting. So I'm leaning towards getting set up in Europe before the States. So that might not happen. We were talking about this the other day that like I'm already thinking about next year and plans and goals and things. It might just be a case of just focus on the UK. But I do think if I'm going to go into another marketplace, it will be Europe rather than the States. But it might just be UK. There's a cop out if I've ever heard one.
Good for you. My German isn't what it could be, so I will be sticking to the countries that at least attempt to speak English. I do have an American account, and it's actually something I was trying to get done this week was to focus a wee bit more on building that out. I prep center. I've everything good to go over there. Just very early days with it. As for wholesale, yeah, once I get my head around the different logistics with the OA, I'll be very keen. I actually do have wholesale supplier accounts already in America. I've just never actually placed an order with them. So yes, I'm early doors with that one, but fully intending to do it. And simply because, well, while Germany is absolutely lovely, I've been 5 or 6 times. I did spend a year living in the States. I do have university connections over there within business, and I'm pretty sure a couple of Facebook posts or messages would open a lot of doors for me. So I'm hoping that next year I will be able to lean on a couple of old friends for accounts. I had a whole other life before I did this.
Yeah, me too. Hide that. So yeah, guys, if you want to get booked in and call to discuss things, that's the link. Don't be backward but coming forward. Get yourself involved and see what it's all about. And yeah, I mean, in terms of next few days, obviously we're going into kind of Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. How are sales for you, McCaffrey?
They've actually dipped a wee bit today, but honestly, I probably won't surpass last December this month, but we're doing very well. And a lot of it, I know the whole topic of the conversation tonight is about wholesale, but it is completely incidental that, yeah, a lot of my turnover this year is from wholesale items, and a lot of replenishable items are just kicking off. I'm going, you didn't do that well the whole way through the year. Why are you suddenly up threefold this week? So it's curious, that one. This time last year, I was selling every Gibson and every, what do you call them, jigsaw, Clunty or whatever they were.
Oh, Clementoni or something you call it?
Clementoni or whatever, them and the Wazigs. I was cleaning them out of Smith's in the shopping trolley per Asen at a time. And again, as I was in on Saturday, I was just sitting scanning a couple for nostalgia, if you can believe that. And $8.99 cost price now in Smiths, and $8.99 in Amazon. And you're sitting going, if this had been my business plan for this Q4, I would have been up a creek with no paddle.
Yeah,
because that was a bubble.
You can't stand still. You really can't.
Nope.
Cool. If there's any other questions, we'll get them answered quickly, but I think we're going to wrap it up soon. So yeah, thanks guys for joining in. Anything more from you, Eamon?
What I would say is that while wholesale can be quite challenging, and it does, there's a lot more challenges, unique challenges to OA. I wouldn't say there's more, but more unique ones. It is a lot more legitimate within scaling things up. Like the relationships, like last May, I was placing orders for Q4 and phoned one supplier for these items. And I was like, I know you don't sell these, but you sell ones from the same brand. Can you get them? And while they couldn't get them because of licensing agreements with Tesco's, they literally got their reps to go right to senior people within Cadbury's to try and get those items for me. And I don't know how else you're going to be able to do that other than through wholesale. Like I said in my post last night, my own per personal organization meant I was hitting the glass ceiling in turnover on OA. Like you look at Luke, you look at Thomas Parkinson and the turnover they're doing on OA, and I'm sitting going, how? They must have an absolute army of VAs, or they're just a lot more clued in than I am. Whereas I'm like, I'm not that clued in, but if I go and buy 10,000 units, I'll still make money. So I'm not the brightest biscuit, but I'm a determined little individual, and that's why wholesale works for me, because you're just doing more. I spoke to a client yesterday and they were saying their margins were fantastic on some of the items they were selling. They were like £20-30 profit per item, but they were only selling 10 or 15 items a day. And they were like, how many did you sell? And I was like, well, yesterday I sold 680. She goes, pounds? I'm like, no, units. Like that's where I'm at. If you're only making 50p in each one of them, that's still close to 350 quid. It's all about volume for me, which is why, and I love the maths of being able to work out my cost per unit for prep, my shipping costs, negotiating with boxes. Got a phone call this evening. What time do you open? We'll be there at 7:30 tomorrow morning with delivery from Hub. I did get given a pallet of boxes and I may have used it.
Yeah. Sucks to be that guy, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, Hub are fantastic. I phoned them yesterday afternoon and they're like, oh, we're too late to get it out to you on Wednesday, but we can have it to you Thursday morning. And I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Thanks.
I think that the key thing with Hub, like this we're off at a tangent, but Hub, it's a Northern Irish company, and just their communication is second to none.
On point.
It is just unreal. It's like, yeah. And that's the key to any good relationship, through communication. That's what it's built on. So
what'd you say?
Very good, Eamon. On that note, I think we'll end that. Boom, boom.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. And any questions, any requests for calls, get yourself booked in, send us a message, whatever you want to do. And one last thing, Eamon?
Yes, one last thing. Obviously, it's a Wednesday night, so if you are a AAB client, I will be doing coaching at 9 o'clock. So between now and then, I am free. So if anybody is sitting going, I don't know what I'm going to do about that, for the next 60 minutes, I will be on a computer. If you drop me a message on Facebook, I will do my best to answer any questions you have between now and 9 o'clock. And then if you are an AAB client, jump on the call, get your value for the money, the course you paid for, and quiz my brains.
Cool. Nice one, guys. Well, get booked in. Eamon's free. And yeah, awesome. So thanks, guys. And yeah, thanks, mate. Speak to you soon.
Goodbye.